Hello everyone. The incident dates back to January 10th, 2018 in Rasana, a village in the Kathua district of Jammu and Kashmir. A couple named Mohammed Yusuf Pujwa and Nasima Bibai lived there. They had an 8-year-old little girl named Asifa. However, Asifa wasn't their biological daughter. The couple had lost their 2 daughters in a car accident, so they had adopted Asifa, the daughter of Nasima's brother. Asifa loved horses, which is why their home had goats, cows, and horses. The family made their living from these animals. Asifa's main task was to take the horses to graze and bring them back home. She did this job lovingly. That day, as usual, she took the horses out to graze. By 4 p.m., the horses started returning home one by one. Eventually, all the horses had returned, but Asifa didn't. Her mother grew worried and informed her husband. He gathered some people and went into the forest to search for her. They searched all night but couldn't find any trace of Asifa. When you think about Kashmir, what comes to your mind? Some might imagine lush green meadows, mountains, and scenic valleys, dreaming of visiting it at least once in their lives. Others might think of conflict, terrorist attacks, and bomb explosions, associating the region with unrest. In 2018, not just Kashmir, but the entire nation was talking about Asifa. Even powerful countries and the United Nations discussed her. She was an 8-year-old girl from a small village who had gone missing. But why did her story captivate the entire country? What happened to this little girl? And what is the current status of her case? In today's video, we will delve into these questions. It's important to note that while Jammu and Kashmir are now union territories since 2019, they were previously a single state. Jammu and Kashmir have stark differences in terms of land, community, customs, and lifestyles. Jammu has a predominantly Hindu population, while Kashmir has a Muslim majority. Despite Jammu's Hindu majority, the nomadic Muslim Bakarwal community lived in the Kathua district. They didn't have permanent settlements and grazed their goats and cattle on leased land for 6 months. Similarly, Mohammed Yusuf Pujwa and Nasima Bibai, part of this community, sustained their livelihood by grazing their animals on leased land. On January 10th, 2018, around 12:30 p.m., Asifa had gone out to check on the horses grazing nearby. 8-year-old Asifa went there with excitement and joy. After that, while the horses returned home after grazing, Asifa did not come back. Some people saw Asifa at around 2 p.m., but no one saw her after that. Asifa's father and others searched the entire forest, but to no avail. They could not find the child anywhere. Finally, as a last hope, they went to the police station and lodged a complaint. However, the police refused to register the complaint and told them to return the next day. At the time, the family could not understand why the police were behaving this way. Asifa's parents, who never expected such a response from the police, were heartbroken but continued searching for their daughter. They returned to the police station the next day, on January 12, 2018. This time, the police said, "Your daughter may have run away with someone. Check if any boy is also missing." Asifa's parents were devastated because the police were making such horrifying remarks about their 8-year-old daughter. Left with no other option, they went back home. Since the police were extremely negligent, Asifa's father, Mohammed, called his relatives and started a protest on the highway. Left with no choice, the police assigned Deepak Kajuria and another person to the case. Remember this name as it will be significant later. However, no progress was made in the case, and they received no information about their daughter. Asifa's parents were living through a nightmare every day. On the morning of January 17th, 2018, Asifa's father was sitting dejectedly in front of his house when a neighbor came running to him. The neighbor told him that his daughter had been found. However, before he could feel any relief, the neighbor revealed that Asifa's body had been discovered in the bushes of the forest. Asifa's father, who was in shock, said he had always feared something had happened to his daughter, and he ran toward the site. His wife followed, crying "Asifa" repeatedly. About 1 kilometer away from their house, in the forest bushes, Asifa's lifeless body was found. Her condition was so horrifying that even stones would weep at the sight. Both her legs were broken, her body was covered in blood, and her nails had turned black. Her body had turned blue, her clothes were smeared with dirt and blood, her head was crushed, her neck strangled, and her private parts had been severely damaged. Seeing all this, everyone froze for a moment, hoping it was just a bad dream. The police sent Asifa's body for post-mortem to the district government hospital. Forensic officials collected all evidence from the crime scene. Despite Asifa's body being found, the police showed no interest in the case. Therefore, on January 22, 2018, the state government handed over the case to the crime branch. While investigating the case, the police faced several obstacles. The girl who was murdered belonged to a Muslim community, and the police arrested Hindus. Moreover, all the officers investigating the case were also Muslims, which led some people to claim that the investigation was not fair. In this case, 8 people were arrested, including a minor under 18 years old. The most shocking aspect is that half of the suspects arrested were police officers themselves. In other words, the arresting party was also the police, and the ones being arrested were police officers too. On April 9, 2018, the investigating officers went to file a charge sheet against these 8 individuals in a Kathua court. However, lawyers protested against them and prevented them from entering the court. Despite multiple attempts, they couldn't gain entry. Everyone seemed to be supporting the accused, so the police went to the judge's residence to file the charge sheet. Protests in support of the accused then began, and 2 ministers from the ruling party also joined. A girl even threatened self-immolation if the accused were not released. Shockingly, the protesters carried the Indian flag while demanding the release of the accused. Due to threats to the family of Asifa, the court ordered police protection for them. Not just the family, but even the female lawyer supporting Asifa received threats of death and rape. Consequently, the Supreme Court transferred the case to the state of Punjab. Additionally, media and public access to the investigation were restricted, and it was mandated that all proceedings be recorded. These threats, protests, and public support for the accused might have confused you, right? Usually, people protest in favor of the victims, but you may wonder why they supported the accused in this case. The reason lies in the demographics of the Kathua region, where a large Hindu population lives alongside the nomadic Muslim Bakarwal community. As mentioned earlier, the Bakarwals used to lease land from Hindus for grazing their cattle. Over time, some Bakarwals started saving money and purchasing land in the area. Asifa's family was among them. This didn't sit well with certain groups who believed that the Bakarwals should be driven out. They urged Hindus not to lease land to the Bakarwal community. One of the individuals strongly opposed to the Bakarwals was Sanji Ram, a retired government officer and temple custodian. He harbored a long-standing hatred towards Muslims. Upon noticing Asifa regularly grazing her horses in the area, he decided to kidnap and kill the child as an act of revenge. On January 7, 2018, Sanji Ram called his nephew, who was living with him. This nephew, the son of his sister, had been sent away from his own home due to his wayward behavior. Although young, the boy was well aware of his surroundings. Sanji Ram told him about an 8-year-old girl grazing her horses near their house and instructed him to kidnap her. On January 8, 2018, the minor boy and his friend Parvesh Kumar began planning the abduction. On January 9, 2018, they purchased some cannabis and drugs to prepare for their plan. The next day, January 10, 2018, they spotted Asifa grazing her horses in the forest. Without alerting her, they chased the horses in a different direction. A few minutes later, Asifa started searching for her horses. Around 2 p.m., they approached her and asked if she was looking for her horses, claiming they knew where the horses were and offering to show her. They led her into the forest, and along the way, they informed Sanji Ram that they had kidnapped the girl. Realizing the situation, Asifa became scared. The men then hit her head, forced drugs into her mouth, and rendered her unconscious. Ignoring the fact that she was just an 8-year-old child, both men sexually assaulted her on the spot. The body was covered with a plastic sheet, leaving the face open for breathing. Asifa was taken to the temple where Sanji Ram was the superintendent. He hid her in the temple, and whenever she regained consciousness, they would give her drugs. On January 11, 2018, Asifa's father, who had been searching for her everywhere, finally reached Sanji Ram. Sanji Ram told him that she might have gone to a relative's house and asked him to look for her properly. On the same day, a minor boy called Sanji Ram's son, Vishal Jangatra, who was studying in a college in Meerut, Uttar Pradesh. The boy called and said that they had a 4-year-old girl, and if he wanted to rape her, he should come there, as she was in Kukapalli. The next day, he came from Meerut, covering almost 500 kilometers to reach there. They raped Asifa continuously till night. Once their hunger was satisfied, Sanji Ram said it was time to end her life. They took Asifa under a small bridge, and when they were about to kill her, Deepak Kajuria, a police officer, suddenly appeared. When they saw the police, they smiled without fear, and the police officer said that he too wanted to rape her. He knew everything, and he was guilty too. Now, you must have understood why the police treated Asifa's parents the way they did. This police officer raped her too. After that, the minor boy raped her again. After everything was over, Deepak Kajuria tried to strangle Asifa, but she was still breathing. Then, the minor boy picked up a stone and hit Asifa's head twice. Asifa was dead. The most horrifying part was that to prevent Asifa from escaping when she regained consciousness, they had already broken both her legs. To avoid getting caught, they decided to spread blood and urine in the temple. They covered her with a plastic sheet and laid her down, not feeding her for 4 to 5 days, and kept raping her while she was unconscious. Many top lawyers supported these perpetrators. They initially tried to prove the minor boy as the murderer, but when that plan failed, they tried to show Sanji Ram's nephew as the murderer. They thought he would be released soon, but after investigation, all of them were arrested one by one. Sanji Ram said that he did it to threaten the Bakral Muslims. Sanji Ram's son Vishal said he was in Meerut giving exams at the time, but his handwriting did not match the handwriting on the exam papers. This was proven with ATM CCTV footage. In this case, a total of 8 people were arrested. Temple Superintendent Sanji Ram, Police Officer Deepak Kajuria, Sanji Ram's son Vishal, the minor boy, and his friend Pravish Kumar, who was also a police officer. Later, Head Constable Tilkaraj, Sub-Inspector Arvind Dutta, and another police officer, Suresh Verma, were also arrested for attempting to destroy evidence and supporting the murderers. They were sentenced to 5 years in prison. The 3 of them washed Asifa's clothes and handed them over to the forensic team, while trying to destroy other evidence. They were given a bribe of rupee 5 lakh for this, even though they tried to destroy evidence. The forensic team worked wisely and, along with other evidence, uncovered the truth and proved that the incident occurred in the temple and how she was killed. The autopsy report stated that Asifa was raped by several people and excessive drugs were found in her body. The body of the little girl, who died after much torture, was opposed by the villagers for a funeral. Therefore, they had to perform her last rites in another village, 7 kilometers away. This case did not end here. On October 22, 2019, an FIR was filed against the crime branch team that had investigated the case with the evidence they had. This was because the crime branch team created false evidence in favor of Sanji Ram's son Vishal and allowed him to escape. When this was discovered, the case was filed against Vishal again, who had been released. A medical test later revealed that the minor boy was actually 19 years old. Therefore, the case was filed against him as well. The crime occurred in January 2018, but the charge sheet was filed in April 2018. Initially, only people in the Kathua region knew about the case, but in April, the news started spreading, and the media in Jammu did not cover it. However, the news quickly spread in Kashmir, and people began protesting. The hashtag #JusticeForAsifa went viral on social media. People from all over India, regardless of caste, community, or language, raised their voices for the little girl, Asifa. This case spread throughout the country, and many countries raised their voices for her. While this was happening, and knowing they had done wrong, some people with a religious mindset supported the perpetrators and stood by them. Every religion teaches good qualities like love, peace, and discipline, and no religion advocates causing harm to people of other faiths. They were simply using religion to manipulate people. They plant the seeds of disagreement and stay happy in it. So, crime viewers, what do you think about this matter? They ruined a little girl who knew nothing about religion, threatened the community, and challenged India's sovereignty. What do you think about the punishment given to those traitors? It was said that she is a minor, and despite the horrific actions, she was saved. Do you think it is right to save her from the highest punishment? Even though some religious people in that particular area supported her, the entire India, regardless of caste, community, and language, raised their voice for justice and Asifa. Were you happy that humanity is still alive in this world? Do you think we respect all religions and that many people live together? You know that the Indian Penal Code is followed throughout India, but do you know which law was followed in Kashmir until 2019? Share your opinion in the comments below, and don't forget, your best comment will appear in the next video. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.